First in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
In another life.
Listen, I'm gonna tell the ladies the secret to keeping a man, and I'm also adding on what's his name, Taraban, Dr. Orion Taraban. He was talking about this on YouTube.
You sent me that be his piece shit. That's what it was.
Basically be his piece. But
yeah.
the most simple version, and I'll elaborate. The most simple version is if you keep his stomach full, his balls empty, and his mind clear, you'll be fine.
Eli feeling this one today, ain't he?
That's solid. And solid.
Now let me elaborate. So he said, number one, you were interested in this man because some part of you admired his lifestyle. He's created a lifestyle that you admire, whether he has money, status, education, wisdom, whatever the case may be. Do not add problems to his lifestyle, right? That's first and foremost. That's the easiest one. Level 2. There are inherently some problems that he has either maintaining his lifestyle or scaling it, right? If you can identify those problems better than other women and then make yourself a solution to those problems, you become indispensable to his lifestyle. Now he needs you. Maybe he didn't even like you, but now he needs you. But third, and this is where I think most women screw up. Do not disrespect that man. Now, there is overt disrespect. That one's easy. Like, don't call him out of his name. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't yell at him. Don't assault him. Different things like that. I think where most of our women in particular, where they mess up as far as disrespect, it's the belittling. How do you talk to that man? He put it very simply. He said, if you would not say this in this way to your supervisor, if you're interested in keeping your job, do not say this in this way to your man. It's that simple. That simple.
I agree.
Man, it can be a little. I got a true story, man. This is so crazy. True story. This is so.
Yeah,
this is such a basic example. I'm not gonna say who and what for the sake of whatever. But I will say this. One time, man, we were out at the lake. I think it was Lake Kiwi. We were on some jet skis. It was me, this late, one of my girlfriend at the time, and then this other girl and her boyfriend. And so we were on jet skis, ready to race the jet skis, et cetera, et cetera. And see, I have experience with jet skis, so I know you hit the waves, it's gonna be a little rough, da-da-da-da-da-da. This guy never had the experience with the jet skis. And he's about 6'3", 250, da-da-da-da. He's real big. Girl in the back, smaller, et cetera. So we raced the jet skis. All right, my man flipped the jet ski over. Boom, they both in the water. Said, okay, let me come over there, help them get up. I told this man, sir, because they were dating, I said, sir, I know you messed up. She don't trust you right now. But sir, keep driving the jet ski. Do not get in the back of that jet ski. Do not get in the back of that jet ski. I don't care how much she's yelling. I don't care how much she's screaming. Do not, with your 6'3" self, 250, get in the back of that jet ski and hold her waist.
Oh God.
I turned my back.
You're on the back of the jet ski.
My man is on the back of the jet ski and she's whipping that thing. And guess what? 2 weeks later,
He was single.
Single.
He was single.
Single.
Ain't no
single.
Listen.
Man.
Listen.
That's overt disrespect.
Listen.
bro.
The thing is, I think we miss this sometimes. Like, the dude I'm talking about, Ryan Taraban, he's a white dude. So this was just general umbrella stuff. Consider, so for instance, like you can call a woman ugly, for instance. It hits different if she's a black woman because there's additional context to beauty is part of women's like curriculum. It's part of women's currency, right, in the world. So to call a woman ugly means more than to call a man ugly. Similarly, to disrespect a black man means more than to disrespect a man. In this country in particular, we have been emasculated and we're constantly emasculated. Unfortunately, the face of our emasculation looks like our women. On a day-to-day, unfortunately, it looks like, so if you're just another example of, I ain't shit, I'm impotent, I can't make nothing happen, the white man got his foot on my neck or whatever the case may be, that man is gone. That man, especially if he's somebody who is against the odds making something of himself.
Or he's just weak and you just in control. Because that used to be my thing. I would rather be consciously or subconsciously date men, not beneath me, but that I knew I could control. That I could, the weight of power was more on my side than it was on his.
Why'd you like it like that?
Because for me, I needed the control. I needed control more than I needed the companionship, I guess I'll say.
It made you feel
It made
secure.
I needed to
That
be able to
security.
control an aspect of my life, and I guess to appear like I had it all going the way I wanted it to go. And I knew if I had this particular person or that particular person, I could bend them to my will. That sounds really bad. I don't mean it that intense.
I mean, that's honest,
I promise
though.
it wasn't
No,
as intense as that,
that's-
but essentially, not saying I was the man, but I was the head.
You're the man.
I literally, I made more money. I controlled the bills in the household. I think I even had the better car. So I had to, I put myself in the man's position because it was easy for me to control that situation.
Control everything.
And that's what I needed at that point in my life.
I said this once, I think some women are pedophiles. Emotional pedophiles.
Okay, yeah, you better figure that out.
I was about to say, no,
Hold on, segue into that.
Emotional-
now.
emotional
Slide right
pedophiles.
All right,
over
thank
there,
you.
like,
In the sense that, like, and you see it sometimes, like women, especially in our community, they've made this difference of like, good dudes who got their shit together are boring, right? And then the street dudes or the hood dudes or the dude who needs somewhere to stay, he need a car to drive, whatever the case may be. They're more exciting, the dick better, whatever the case may be. And I think if we actually took the time to investigate this, part of it is that power differential. And we talk about how like single motherhood affects boys. We don't talk about how it affects girls. If you grow up with a domineering mother, you're going to become a domineering woman. You're going to become a woman who thinks that I have to be in charge. I have to be in the position of authority, the position of power. And what simultaneously happens is you run off the men that you claim that you want, and you only attract effeminate men who are attracted to masculinity. Because they're looking for a dad, and you're the closest thing to it.
and I mean, that can happen subconsciously speaking from a personal experience. Being raised by a single mother that instilled in me and my sisters, you need a husband, you need a man. I'll teach you how to care for yourself until one comes. But all I saw was a strong woman. So in my head, that's what I know, you know, and inadvertently, because I was the oldest in the house, I stepped into that masculine energy because I wanted to protect my mother. So harmlessly, that was deep-rooted trauma that I just realized a year or so ago. That was deep-rooted. That's why I always operate in a masculine, because at 16 years old, I stepped into a masculine role to protect my mother. Although I had a brother, he was younger, but I was the oldest in the house. So although she told us what to do as a wife, taught us how to cook, how to submit, all of that, but she also taught me how to cut grass, how to put oil in the car. So now I'm even-handed, but the masculine side was more dominant.
That's a fact.
And so
And it worked.
I had to pull that up. I had to figure that out and pull that up and say, it might have not been intentional. And although she taught you and told you how to be a wife, what you saw, although she was divorced,
Was a
what you
strong
saw
woman.
was a strong woman that cared for 5 children on her own, due to an alcoholic father that was absent. So in my head, kids, and that's why I tell people kids do what they see you do, not what they
Facts.
tell you to do. And that's why I constantly talk to my daughters that I'm raising. I co-parent just fine. They have great fathers. But I know what they've seen all these years. So I know that's going to be rooted in there, hiding. So eventually when that surfaces, I'm on the watch. 'Cause we ain't going down the same road. I'm on the watch. And so I have to constantly teach them that a guy be a guy, you know. And then I was grateful for what they attract. Because they attract the right kind of young man that I don't have to say, let me get my holy oil, get him out of here.
Not the y'all was on Jesus hard tonight.
There's a book I encourage people to read. It's called The Way of the Superior Man. Even if you're a woman, you should read it. Some of it I disagree with, but like the overarching premise of the book was masculine energy is always attracted to feminine energy. Sometimes masculine energy is in a woman, and feminine energy is in a man, right? And they will always find themselves. Unfortunately, with masculine women, they constantly live in a state of discontent because even though she's going to attract and be attracted to feminine men, she's never going to be fulfilled.
And because he's never enough.
He's never enough. And sometimes you become addicted to that yearning. Like I don't want to get it. I just want to almost get it. And we get it. We end up stuck in that place of if you can only whatever. And then with hairdressers, it's part of their story. It's part of what they telling their
Now you're
clients.
just being childish.
Well, he done
He does.
I bet you won't have
my first day back. Look.
because that's enough for you.
I
The way
was
he
finna
spun this
share, but
thing.
you get another.
This man has spun this thing.
Forgive me.
So I'm about to spin it again. No,
Flip it on.
so would that be the feminine men that get triggered by women saying they want to be in their soft girl era? Because I've seen so many, I feel like that's misunderstood because it's trending.
Okay.
I feel like it's misunderstood by men. I've seen men triggered on social media by women saying they want to be in their soft girl era. I'm not doing all of this. I'm not doing 100%. And I'm like, do y'all know what that means? As a woman that is operating in her masculine, that doesn't mean I want you to pay all the bills. That doesn't mean I want you to be completely out front. That just means I want to sit back and be quiet and be in my feminine energy while you're in your masculine energy, whatever that looks like. But they always equate it to money.
Why do you think that?
I guess because of the trending.
The
trending, because I was like, where's the disconnect? I've been trying to figure that out for months.
So
where's that disconnect?
I'm disconnected from the soft girl era for a couple of reasons. One, because it's so trendy. And anything trendy is oftentimes giving you a glamorized social media view of what's not reality.
Right.
But for the one, like the definition of it is just like basking in your femininity and all these things. That shouldn't be just an era.
Exactly.
You don't have to be soft to be in that space.
Exactly.
So I am against soft girl era, soft life, all that, because life itself is never going to be completely smooth. It's never without a bump in the road. But to me, I feel like people take it and misinterpret it to mean that I'm supposed to just not lift a finger, have somebody wait on me hand and foot, do this for me, that for me, get gifts, go on trips. We glamorize it to mean, oh, I just want to be pampered and doted on.
Yeah.
That's not what it should mean.
Yeah.
Just say you want to live a life that has peace in it, where you can handle the hurdles that come to you, and there's no real, like, you're not in a life where there's always, like I said, the dynamic crap happening that you have to mix around and be all these things changing all the time to be in. Just say you want to just live.
Exactly.
You don't have to be in some era because eras end.
Yeah. And for me, I guess from somebody that realized she was operating in a masculine energy for so long, I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Soft girl era. For me, this is stepping out of masculine into feminine, but that is always changing, evolving. But what that looks like for me may not look like for you. What y'all talking about? Not lift a finger? Who gonna do that? You know, but for me, that's not being so abrasive, not being so aggressive, not being so harsh, because that's what my norm is. Because that's what I've been. But I was like, why are the men triggered?
But that's just
and the
the
women
evolution of
upset.
you.
And I'm just like, yeah, and I'm like, well, maybe I'm just gonna stay over here in my little healing corner because I'm confused. Y'all, social media culture got me confused.
Soft girl era. You always see somebody with a big old bouquet of flowers, and they're holding them like this
Yeah.
with a
In a
bodysuit
robe.
on or something. You feel
Baby,
me?
I don't
with
need that.
candles everywhere, with balloons up. Soft girl era, or they have a little coffee cup and they're like looking over Paris or something. It's just like all these scapes that are not reality.
Yeah.
Because that could be a trip, but that moment can be nice.
Yeah.
But are you coming back to a
Who's paying
world
for it?
filled of chaos?
Right.
Who's paying for it?
Feminine, if
What's your credit
feminine
like?
soft
Right.
for me is
and
my
nobody
time.
else should be able to
My-
give you that
yeah.
era either. If you're looking for that for something soft to come from someone else,
It's not. Gonna
it's more to do with you than it is to do with everyone around you because
Yeah.
no one can give you the peace you're looking for if you're not actively out there searching
Yeah.
and getting it and ascertaining for yourself.
and understanding what you need to obtain that peace, because that's not the same.
Because baby,
for
don't take
everybody.
me to Paris right now. Take me to somewhere where I can go sit and lay on a hammock and catch an ocean
me to
breeze.
Florida.
That's soft to me.
So can I pose a question?
Absolutely.
The way he's looking on.
Can I pose a question?
We got
Right.
All right.
Absolutely.
we got Melly Allen. In
I just want to pose a
Light-skinned
question.
twins. Light-skinned
I just want to pose a question.
Go on,
Where
pose your
have
question,
you
Ty.
been?
All right, so we talking about yellow flags. I know we've been talking about, we say some stuff can go both for men and women, and how I want to touch on something that maybe this idea, maybe it's a yellow flag. I don't know. Maybe it's not. But you said something a few minutes ago when people were commenting under the soft girl era stuff. In y'all's opinion, I'm not going to say my view. I just want to know y'all. In y'all's opinion, has this 50-50 movement done more harm or has it been more beneficial to our relationships today?
Harm.
Oh gosh.
Harm.
Annihilated.
Harm.
I just said that the other day. And I think it comes to, Alan just spoke to it a little while ago. The men never had a blueprint. So now that we have social media and they're getting a blueprint of what a yellow flag looks like, or I can have a voice, or I can speak up, or I am do happiness just as well as my wife. You know, people say happy wife, happy life. I say happy spouse, happy house.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, so if we're both happy, then we have a happy, healthy home and environment to raise children and whatever else. So I feel like it's done more harm, but I feel like the women may have got defensive because now the men are speaking up because now they have a blueprint where we always were told from little girls what we're supposed to expect. And that's burned in our brain. Now men have a blueprint. And they're saying, well, hey, this is what, you know, I know it should be. And so now it's like, to me, 50-50 don't always mean money. People misinterpret that. 50-50 just may mean he don't want to take the whole load, or he needs to know that in this season where I cannot take the whole load, can you take half of it and we move together and still move forward? That's the way I look at it. But everybody always goes to money. 50-50 this, but I feel like this is my view, so not anybody else's, but as a woman, there's no way I'm gonna be in the house with my spouse or my significant other that's working hard and keeping the house going, and he's stressed out because he can't handle it all on his own. And I'm gonna sit here and be in robes with bouquets of flowers while he's in here with blood pressure through the roof and may stroke out at any time. You know, and leave me a widow. No, what do we need to do to fix this? And if I got to pull a load or come in and help you manage it or organize it to be better, me as a woman, the woman that I am, I just can't. I wouldn't be able to do that. So I guess I can agree and disagree in some arguments, but to me, I just feel like people have just spun it to something that it should not be. And it's done more harm. Now they got this, just like with memes. How y'all got a whole relationship book on social media memes? Because a lot of times that's somebody's opinion from their experience. And just because you had a bad experience because of someone you picked doesn't mean I had a bad experience, because my picker may be different or better.
After that. So to me, I don't like 50-50 because it leads people to that believe that men and women are equal. And we're not. And I don't say that to be a bad thing, but there are things that women thrive in and are, I won't say like that's their designated job, but they just thrive in. There's things that men thrive in. And a lot of a relationship is feeding a person's ego, especially men, because men have ego like hell. And what it's not always, like I said, not negative, but you have to feed into that ego. So, and for me growing up, my mind thought 50-50, like I gotta be pulling my weight just like a man is. But in seeing healthy relationships between men and women, I understand that, like I said, it's not always about money. There's the power dynamic is not one that you have to fight for because it's more so partnership. Where my homegirls or friends that are married thrive in areas of maybe it's homemaking. I'll use my brother and his wife for an example. So my brother and sister-in-law marriages, I love it because my brother gets to thrive in his manhood. He does the yard work. He works his full-time job. He has a business. He drives he doesn't drive. He's the passenger princess because his wife prefers to be in control of the wheel. But they've discussed that and he's cool with it. When usually it's the man that drives it, when a woman's the passenger princess. Same way when it comes to bills, because she had her job is in banking. She likes to be the one that controls how the bills go.
The money.
And not necessarily the actual money itself, because they both play a part in it, but she's an organizer. So, and my brother also is, but she thrives in that arena. So he relents in that regard to have her thrive in that arena. When it comes to, like I said, the cooking and the household things, it's her all day. But she also, like I said, she's a very successful banker and she has her own business as well. So it's like they both are successful people individually, but they have figured out what works the best for him in his masculine role, her in her feminine role, and then mesh the two to create a cohesive environment for their home.
Right.
And like I said, it works for them, but it's never well, you didn't do this, so I'm not going to do that. It's never an instance of, I'm the man, so you got to listen to me. I'm handling the bills. It's never like that. But the aspect of communication is also in that.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not 50-50, it's partnership. That's more important in this day and age because of the fact that we're not our grandparents, where they had to be stuck in these roles. Because I don't believe in the traditional roles either. Because a lot of times they were stuck in that, but they were not happy. Now it's about finding out what makes you great as an individual, what makes me great as an individual, and putting that together to where I still feel heard and seen as a man. I still feel heard and seen as a woman. And together we make a beautiful life.
Yeah.
That was a long, drawn-out way of saying I don't like 50-50,
yeah.
but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm solid.
You feel answered?
Yeah, yeah.
So what's your opinion, Ty?
Yeah, what's your, we waiting on you.
What you giggling for? You gotta answer. What you giggling for?
I will answer this in so many ways. Thanksgiving dinner.
Mm-hmm.
You got a table and you got a chair. A chair cannot be a better table than a table. And a table cannot be a better chair than a chair. But they could both serve each other's purpose. But most importantly, you need both of them to have a good Thanksgiving dinner.
You better be poetic, all right.
I was waiting. It got done. I couldn't wait.
I'm going to leave it there.
Look, hey, is that all right?
Say, baby. All right now. Come on, Ty.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Man.
Oh, Lord.
What was the question?
All right, so folks, it's been a great episode.
Thanks for coming
I
out.
say
God bless
something
you.
wrong.
The 50-50 thing.
50-50.
We got
Has
you.
it done more harm or benefit or been more beneficial to our relationships today? Yellow flag, green flag, red flag.
Right. I think it was easier for our grandparents. I think number one, they had less options to sift through. They had less options to be preoccupied by. Because I think one of the things that we struggle with is, even if you have a good man, you think you get a better one. Even if you have a good woman, you think you get a better one, right? And you have access to her on this tablet in your hand, or him. And the other thing too is like one income was enough to sustain a household, right? So your grandfather who worked at a factory, who today would be considered a bum ass, back then he was a great man. back then he was capable of.
You a lot because BMW workers make bank.
That's a
I mean,
fact.
but still, he was able to take care of a family. He was able to buy a house. He was able to buy a car. He was able to send the kids to school. And more importantly, he was able to garner the respect of women. These days, that's not enough. Like you talk to most women, they're looking for, and because of this economy, it's even worse. They're looking for a man who's in the top 1% from an income standpoint. And because of that, if you have a man who is closer to what's average, and what's average, like 40,000 a year or something like that? 47,000?
For household individual.
No, for a man.
For a man, it's about, for a black man, it's about 40, 44, 44.
And so when you have a man who is average, even close to average, 60, 70, he's not good enough. And the way that you meet him is not as your best self. It's as a condescending, why aren't you good enough type of person? And it kind of sets the tone for that dynamic. So more than the 50-50 thing, I think the challenge here is we are not being honest about what's necessary to sustain a family these days, 2 incomes. And also we're not honest about what's common and what's average. Right? Like average is 47, you know what I'm saying, 50. So, but that man still deserves respect, especially if he's in a field that he enjoys, if he's in a field that he feels like is doing some good, he's a teacher, or whatever the case may be, or he just loves his craft. He's not going to make a whole bunch of money, but are you going to be capable of affording him the same respect as a man who does? Because he does, mow the lawn, and he does take care of the cars, and he does, more than anything, he brings that masculine balance into the house. That is invaluable. But these days, it's all about, can you pay my bills? Can you make me, or give me the opportunity to live that soft girl, AKA gluttonous life, where I don't have to do anything, but I get worshiped because I have a vagina, right? So, so I think we talk about the 50-50 stuff, but it's more than that. It's more than that.
It's
Okay.
deeper.
Alrighty then.
Anything else in that series that stood out to y'all before we wrap?
I spoke my piece. Don't give me no more homework.
So cosmetology and
Cosmetology. I'm not a
That's me.
hairstylist. When it came to makeup artists, is where I took offense.
I thought it
MUA.
was the same umbrella.
I mean, I
It's the
don't, but
beauty
I'm not a
industry, but no.
cosmetologist.
It's a different.
So I understand the umbrella and I understand those people. But again, I got offended from my standpoint, but I also understand and see where you're coming from. So I wasn't mad at the series. Like I said, I appreciated it. I understood it. It is useful information for men and for women. From women from the standpoint of check yourself, or even other women in those spaces where you see it, because I've seen it before. And our responsibility is to be better. And if we know better, we have to teach better so that somebody else can do better. Say that, girl. That's where we are with it. So that's probably what triggered me the most. It's like, yep, either that was me at one point in my life, or I know people that I can identify folks like that fit this build. So I get it. Men, your responsibility is to get it and apply it. Women, we have to adjust it so that we're not on these lists.
I'll say this, because this is what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that too many women in this particular country, in this Western context, from the perspective of men, traditional men, are too far gone.
Oh, I'm not going to disagree. Like, it feels like we're fighting an uphill battle with what we're discussing often. I shared some thoughts with you about one of the videos you posted from our last episode, where we were speaking on a topic that, like, depression is serious.
Right.
It is something that I take very seriously. And when I share my experience with it, it's in the hopes of helping someone that had my experience. And so people, even from that, like, for you to bash or to, like I said, you can disagree with things respectfully, but to go in and attack and bash and claim that I'm wrong because it wasn't your experience, and then to go on and continue to bash, what are you trying to prove? And do you understand that you're part of the problem that makes depression more persistent with Black men and women?
Yeah.
Because you're telling me that because she has hair and I have hair, they can't be different. Because you've experienced depression or anxiety and I've experienced it and our experiences were different, then mine is invalid. Or you're saying it to, like you're attacking me personally because you can't relate to it. And I liken that to be the experience with dating and anything. If it's not your personal experience and you have nothing from personal opinion or view to relate it to, it's automatically invalidated and wrong. So it's unjustifiable. And when we learn to understand and respect other folks' opinions based on their experiences or even just what they're trying to educate you on, and understanding that someone doesn't always have to go through to understand or educate on how to be better in these aspects, then we'll improve. But we're not doing that. We're stuck in being content with where we are and who we are and what we know in our limited scope, and that being what we base all of our life interactions off of. So until people are able to get outside of themselves, like I had to do from the start of this, get outside of you and understand that the world is a bigger place than just your viewpoint, we're never going to forward this conversation. I felt that in my spirit. I had to get it out because y'all been pissing me off.
And I feel like I was having this conversation with somebody, creating a vicious cycle. Because now, because we have so many women that think that way and that have, broken men or traumatized men. So now it's almost an expectation that's being set. So when you have the exception, I've had men say, oh, well, you're used to men doting over you and you used to men simping, so I'm not doing it. How do I have to pay for something I never did just because I look the way I look? Did you think to get to know me first? But you've already put up this defense and won't even buy me a cheeseburger because you want to teach me a lesson that pretty women shouldn't have pretty privilege or whatever. I was on a radio segment one time and somebody told me, as you said, came for my head because I said I didn't know what pretty privilege was for a long time. When people were saying, I was like, what is that? And they were like, oh, of course you don't. And I'm like, well, if I've always worked for everything I have, how can you say I know that if I've never experienced?
But they see you as pretty. And
Right. So your
their
insecurities, somebody else got a promotion because of the way they look or because they were of a lighter version, because I deal with that as well in our own culture.
Because, baby, I used to hate y'all. I swear to God, a light-skinned person couldn't do nothing but get out of my face.
I've had people tell me to my face. I've had women say, oh, I did want to connect with you, but nah, you light skin. I don't do light skins.
They too
What
grown
do
for
you
that.
say to
They are
that?
too grown.
You know what I mean?
Oh, come on, John.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what's going on.
my
You know what I mean? Like, what do
you
like, what do you say to that when I've done nothing but walk in the room? So I just feel like it's creating a vicious cycle because now I'm, like I told you earlier, I'm throwing in the towel because ain't no way because I'm light skinned and pretty and I can put my clothes together and wash my face and put on lotion, you gonna act like I think that I'm better or I have an expectation of you as a man. So, but because of the uphill battle we're fighting and nobody wants to take accountability to say, all this stuff is coming up from my childhood, all this stuff is coming up from all of these F-boys I mess with, I gotta get this together. It's just a vicious cycle.
It's easier
So now
to be the
we're
problem
hurting,
than the solution.
we're hurting men are hurting us, and now everybody just hurt, and nobody's advancing. So it's like, what's the point in being a good man or woman when it's no point? Because you're gonna get hurt, or you're gonna get ran over, but that's not just my opinion. It was just funny that you brought that up because I just had that conversation. Because the expectations are set. And if he's come across 10 women that are the same, 10 light-skinned women, they have the same.
It's been
qualities of me.
predisposed.
Yeah, so now I don't have a fighting chance. I don't care. I could jump through a burning ring of fire.
You got to jump through two.
Listen, I got to jump through two with a hula hoop.
Yep, that's right.
Man.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying? So it's almost frustrating if you are an exception to it, because there's exception to everything, even with men. And I always try to go into something that way, but these days, these memes done got people's head messed up.
Baby, the whole personality is a meme.
Listen, whole thing. You got a whole playbook from a meme.
Ty, final thoughts, man.
Man, Yeah, this been
I done triggered him with the light skin.
getting that light skin one. That light skin was high level. That was high level.
about to come out here and show you.
That was high level. You said
sorry.
enough. I don't even know if I can go any deeper than that. But yeah, this has been a very interesting topic. You know, it's good to hear from not just men, but from women and hear the different perspectives. Because ultimately, like I said, it really just boils down to, like you were saying, if I'm hurt, she's hurt, and then we're all just hurt people trying to be on the defense or trying to, we're never going to progress. We're never going to. So somebody or a group of people or whoever, we gotta do better. We gotta do better, and it starts with dialogues like this. So I'm glad.
I'll
Happy.
say one more last
For
thought.
sure, for sure.
Since he said that,
Absolutely.
he just and it just goes back to what I was saying, and it's starting early. I have 2 daughters. You know, my youngest is 17, and so she's dating, and so she was dating a young man that refused to pay for her anything to eat, and she was like, "What do you mean? You know, I can pay for my stuff. What do you mean?" And he said, "Oh, all the girls I ever dated always use me for my money, so you got to buy your own food." And so she was so perplexed. And so I had to sit down and say, listen, at 17, there's no way. Disconnect from that now. Because he's been traumatized. But it blew my mind for someone at that age. It's not his fault. Again, it's a vicious cycle. Somebody's parents taught them to go for the jugular, get his coins, you know, whereas my daughters are not taught that, but they are taught, okay, you can buy me some Chick-fil-A, sir. Like, if you want to, you know, court me or whatever, you can buy me Chick-fil-A, you know, but it just blew my mind that it's starting that early. So it goes back to it's being seeds planted just that early. So that young man is going to grow into a broken man if that's not healed, or he doesn't come across somebody that can help him unpack that. Because at that age, emotionally, I don't know how intelligent I was. I wasn't, but you know what I mean. So,
Not at all.
but it just baffled me, as he said. We're not, as a whole, we're not gonna get anywhere because it's going even further back into it. Like
I'm gonna keep
these
fighting a good
conversations,
fight,
I never
though.
said.
Fight
I'm
the
finna
good
say we
fight.
gonna uphill and out. I might have to take the heels off.
That's
but-
it. Let's get to the checkered
we
flag.
get dirty. Listen to
Let's
the
get to the
checker.
checkered flag.
But yeah, I'm done now. Look, I'm done.
Yeah,
But that just
yeah.
triggered that when he said that.
Nah, this is good. I want y'all to think about what episode 9 is gonna be. What are we talking about with episode 9? Y'all got any ideas?
Don't. I'm not taking them a homework, so leave me alone with that homework stuff.
She like, I
like
feel
Somebody
attacked.
else, somebody
At
else
least,
was looking at me.
I know it wasn't me. I was like, I know I was absent, but homework.
Let's ask the people. What do y'all think we should talk about in episode 9? What do
That's-
y'all want to
yeah.
hear about?
Yeah.
It's for
Engagement.
y'all. What
Questions
y'all
for
wanna
the
hear? What
ladies,
you wanna
questions
hear?
for the gentlemen.
We should do a questions episode where you pick questions out.
Yeah.
And actually
We
answer.
definitely should.
Okay, maybe that's episode 9.
You're welcome.
I have some
Thank you.
questions.
Thank
Give
you.
her her flowers.
But appreciate y'all for tuning in. Again, if you are a VIP member, you will be receiving a mug. If you didn't already send me your address, please send me your address through Patreon. If you are an executive producer tier level member, consider upgrading. Or, you know, when I drop it on the website, I will be giving you guys a 50% off discount. If you are not a member at all, consider joining in one of those 2 tiers. Thank you guys so much. Peace. Desi.
All right.
Man.
That was
good.